folks, it's me, Michaela, and welcome back to my channel. I was working on finally doing, very belated, a 2026 update of my series spreadsheet that I use to keep track of all of my series reading. I do have a relatively old tutorial if you were wanting to make a spreadsheet that looks like mine. I will say, I'm not a professional. I only did this through fiddling around in Google Sheets until I found stuff that worked for me and Googling things to figure out how to make this. So there's probably lots of things you could do easier or better that I don't know about because I am no professional when it comes to Google Sheets or Excel and all of that. But that does exist if you're interested in how I made my spreadsheet. But I do read a lot of series, and so I like having the spreadsheet to keep track of all of my series reading. So let's have a quick little look at it. I'll bring it up on screen now. This is the main page of my series tracker. And so this has been keeping track of all of the series I've been reading since I got back into reading, starting in 2021, I want to say it's the first year that it goes to, up until now, 2026. And I like to usually once, maybe twice a year, if I'm feeling really gung-ho, I'll go through Goodreads and I check all of the series that I'm currently reading and see if there's any new books that have been released or are releasing that I might have missed, because I do find it hard to stay on the pulse of every series I'm reading. There's some that I just feel a little bit more passionate about following the next book than others, especially when I have a number of cozy mystery series or just mystery series in general. Those have a tendency to just never end, right? You're on book 5 and there's 17 books all of a sudden that you're behind on. That's just kind of how that whole genre works, I find. But I have 3 main pages on my series spreadsheet that I use. My series overview page here, my currently reading, which is a closer look at each series, and then a completed series, which is mainly to keep my currently reading clean. So I was updating this earlier today, update all of the books that have been added to series since the last time I did an update in this, probably somewhere around mid-2025. And I was like, you know what, this would also probably be a great time to do an update on every series I'm currently reading, because I feel like things have changed a bit. Although I didn't finish a huge number of series in 2025, how many did I finish? Let's see. I finished 5 series in 2025. As you can see, I also finished my Harry Potter critical reread at the beginning of 2026, and that's already here. I actually need to update this too. Hold on. I only updated my currently reading little key and not my completed series key. But yeah, even though I only finished 5 series in 2025, I did also get up to date in Heartstopper, which I also started in 2025, so that almost doesn't even count. And I also got up to date in Ernest Cunningham. But other than that, I didn't get up to date or complete too many series, but I did get a lot of books and series read. I had a quick count before I started recording, and I checked all of the pink squares, as you can see by the key, is for 2025. And I found that I read, I think it was 37 books in series in 2025. And considering I think I ended on 65 books read last year, mid-60s. That's over 50% of my reading in 2025 going towards making progress in series, and I think that's probably my best year yet in terms of that. So in terms of my series overview, I have updated a few things. I saw there was a new Lane Winslow mystery series book. I saw that there also was another Finley Donovan, another Veronica Speedwell. I also changed Percy Jackson and the Olympians to being read. Previously, I had included the 2 new books in the Percy Jackson series as part of the original Percy Jackson series. However, I saw on Goodreads when I was checking to see if there was a 3rd one or something coming out, because I don't know. I don't really keep a close eye on the Percy Jackson universe. I'm just trying to slowly make my way through it. But when I had a look, I saw that the 2 new books were Percy Jackson and the Olympians the senior year or something like that. So it seems like they're almost like a separate series, and I decided since I don't plan on reading those books until I'm done the rest of the Percy Jackson universe, because I want to read them in order, and I feel like they released so far after the original series that they're almost another series. And that kind of just convinced me that I do want to keep it as two separate series in my spreadsheet, which is not like the first time I've made that decision myself. There's also like, you'll see I have separate Mistborn Era 1 and Mistborn Era 2 series listed on my spreadsheet, because in my brain, those are two different series, even though if you go on Goodreads and look at Mistborn as a series, it'll say that they're all part of the one series, but in my brain, they're two separate series. So I did make that decision, and I changed Percy Jackson back to having the 5 original books and marking it as completed. So I did bring that one off my list. As you can see, I'm currently at 21 currently reading series. That is, I think, exactly where I left off at the end of 2024. So I don't think I really achieved that goal of bringing that under 20 that I had for 2025. But I did make a lot of progress in terms of like the books I read. Because as you can see, like for the series that I'm currently reading, there's 232 books in all of the series combined. And I've read 161 of them, so I have 71 left to read, which I think is like a very good ratio, especially because if we go through this a little more in depth, we'll see how there's a few that I'm still like undecided on what I want to do with them. The first series on this list, this is all in chronological order of like when I started the series, and I just add to this list as it goes on. So the first is A Court of Thorns and Roses, which I am up to date on, but I do believe there's more books coming. It is kind of just sitting in limbo while I wait for a new book. The Lane Winslow Murder Mystery Series by Iona Wishaw. Like I said, this has a new book coming out in April, I believe, so there's now 13 books in the series. But I have recently actually been like kind of liking these and reading more of them, and I'm now up to 5 read. So I think I read 2 or 3 of these books in 2025 and beginning of 2026. So that's like some decent progress. But this is kind of one of those series where I pick it up when I have like nothing else on my Libby shelf and I don't have like a work read. They're always like good for me. I haven't like absolutely hated any of them. I haven't absolutely loved any of them. But I do kind of just enjoy like a little post-World War II middle of nowhere kind of Murder, She Wrote mystery vibe. Finlay Donovan is the next one that is still an ongoing thing. I've only ever read the first of this, and it's because I was wanting to go on because I loved the first book, but then I kept hearing people say it gets worse and worse and worse in the series, that I'm still undecided if I want to read more in the series, which is why it's still on the list. It's not like a DNF series, because I do think I want to try and read more of it. I just like have doubts, and like after giving the first book 5 stars and loving it so much, I'm just like worried about the rest of the series being a disappointment. Veronica Speedball is in the same boat as Lane Winslow. It's another cozy murder mystery series. There's now 10 books. A new book is coming out in March, April, the spring, some point in the spring. And, you know, like if I read one of these a year, go me. I will never catch up in Veronica Speedwell. I've just accepted my fate. I'll never finish that series. I'll be like dying. There'll be like 75 books in the series. I will be so many behind. I'll cry on my deathbed holding a Veronica Speedwell book that I have not yet finished. The next on the list that I still have ongoing is Wayward Children. This, again, there's a new book released in January. I have a Libby loan for it. I'm hoping to get it in the next few weeks. I'll read that and then be up to date again on it. This is just kind of how the Wayward Children series is for me. It's like ongoing. It's like I get caught up in like February, March when I read the new book finally, and then another new book is announced and then I'm behind again. It's just, you know, how it is. Beartown, I still have the winners to read, and I am now actually debating if I just want to reread the whole series, because I feel like it's been so long since I read the second book that I don't really want to pick up the third book yet because it feels nowhere near fresh in my mind. And I do love Frederick Bachman, and I especially love the first book, Beartown. I did also love Us Against You, but I think like I do want to actually kind of reread the whole series now before I get into the winners. So that's kind of making a more work project for myself than is necessary, but I think it is something I want to do. Maybe I will finally finish that series I say that I want to finish constantly in 2026. I think the thing is that I I know is going to emotionally devastate me, and I'm kind of scared to read it for that reason. And also I'm scared to not absolutely adore and love it, because I feel like I've put such high expectations on the winners, and I'm like mildly concerned that if it's anything less than like a 17 star, I'm gonna be sad about that. Thursday Murder Club does now have 5 books in it. Is it done now? Does anybody know if this is done? I thought Thursday Murder Club was done after the 4th book released, and then a 5th book came out. So I have no idea at this point. So I still have it marked as ongoing. But I do own The Last Devil to Die, and I plan to read The Last Devil to Die in 2026. And then I'll figure out about, what's the new book called? An Impossible Fortune? Maybe? I don't remember. That could be 100% wrong. The next book. Okay, The Legendborn Cycle. I do need to read Oathbound. The thing is that I think I might hate it. And I tried to start reading it, and then I went into a reading slump. Not necessarily like Oathbound put me into a reading slump. It was a whole series of events that just led to the slump. But I think it's like, it's making me very much hesitate picking it up and starting it again, because I'm like, do I want to start the book again that I was really confused about the entire first, like, I think I read like 50 pages of it, and the whole time I was confused. I was constantly like Googling like the wiki pages for the Legendborn Cycle, because I had no idea what we were talking about. And I couldn't remember if I was supposed to remember this or if this was like new information that was being introduced. I had no idea what was going on. I find like the magic system and world building in the Legendborn Cycle to be very messy. It's not concise, it's not clear to me. Maybe that's just like a reading translation issue of like my brain and Tracy Dion's writing that is just like over my head. But that's like a struggle for me. And then I also have this problem where my least favorite character is the main character. Makes it difficult. But I do want to finish it. I want to get up to date and finish it. Is there going to be a 4th book? Who knows? I have no idea. The Bromance Book Club, this has been an on hold series since like 2023, 2024. Because for some reason, the 3rd book doesn't exist anywhere for free. Like, it's not at any of my libraries physically, and it's also like not at any of my libraries digitally. And one thing about me, I'm not gonna buy this book. I'm not gonna buy it because I don't own any of the other books. I'm not gonna buy the 4th book in a series. And I also don't want to buy the ebook for it because, again, like, I don't want to buy just the one book just to read it. And like, I like the books fine enough, but at this point too, I'm like 3 more years into romance reading that I don't even know if I'm gonna like these books at this point, that I don't want to invest my money in them necessarily. But I also don't want to give up on the series, you know? It's like I'm so close. I only have 2 books left in it, and like the first 3 books were like fun enough of a read that like I don't want to just DNF the whole series. It's not that I think I'm gonna hate it, it's just like I don't think I'm gonna like it enough to buy it. And like I said, I don't want to only own the 3rd book or the 4th book of a series like that. I don't want just the 4th book on my shelf. And I don't buy ebooks because I don't have an e-reader, and I don't like e-reading, so I don't want to invest in e-reading. It's a problem. It's a struggle. I don't know what to do. I'm trapped. Like, somebody help me. Any advice on what I should do with this? Let me know. What would you do in this situation? I also don't know why this book doesn't like seem to exist in public libraries. Like, why is it not there? The other books in the series seem to be, but then this one is not. Explain it to me. I then have the Ernest Cunningham series. There is a new book coming out in March, I believe. Everyone in this bank is a thief. I want to say the names of the books in this series is so long. It's like a little test on the noggin. Try and remember them. But I do love Benjamin Stevenson's writing, and I did get myself caught up in the Ernest Cunningham series in 2025. So I do want to read the new book in 2026 because, like I said, I really love his writing style, and I think this is a really fun mystery series to read. Maybe I could try and solve the new mystery. Would anybody be interested in yet another murder board? Let me know. Those are kind of fun to make, even though they are a lot of work. I then have Chestnut Springs, and I only have 1 book left in this, and I'm actually reading it right now. And I'm like 2/3 of the way through. I'm gonna finish Hopeless this week, which means I'm gonna finish Chestnut Springs this week. And once I finish that, it means I can officially start the other Elsie Silver series, because there's now like a new one that's the first book is releasing, I think, this year, but there is like the other new one That's not the new one where it's like the like Wild Love, Wild Card, Wild whatever, you know the ones I'm talking about. So I do want to get to those, but I have a rule for myself. I'm only allowed to read one series by an author at a time. I can't be in the middle of 2 series by the same author because I just won't make enough progress, and the amount of series I'm reading would just get completely out of hand. So I then have Off the Ice by Balcabra. I did read the first book in the series, Collide, and it was fine for me. I didn't hate it. I just felt like it was a little too long and drawn out, and it wasn't like the deepest of character developments, and you know, like, it just wasn't, like, a series that I loved, but I was like, oh, I'll think about picking up the next book. That was now 2 years ago, and there's now a 4th book coming out in this series, and I still have only read one of them. There I go, creating more of my own problems. I then have Before the Coffee Gets Cold, this series. I think there is a 6th book, but it's not available in English yet. I don't think the translation is out. So I still have it marked as 5 books in the series, even though I think it's going to probably be 6 soon. I've read 2 of them. These are, like, short novella books of, like, magical realism, time traveling, and I'm not in a rush to read this series. I feel like overall, you don't have to read these back to back. You don't need to totally remember what happened in the last book to read the next one. So I'm just like taking my time with these and reading one when I feel in the mood for it. Love Light by B.K. Borison is a series that I do want to try and finish reading in 2026. Is that really ambitious? Say I want to read the 3 books left in this series all in 2026. Like, maybe. But I definitely want to be making progress in Love Light. I read Love Light Farms, which is the first book in the series, in December 2024 for a little reading vlog, and I just, like, kind of forgot I started the series. My bad. But I do want to finish it because, again, I want to read another B.K. Borison series, but I got that rule for myself. Can't do it until I finish Love Light, so I need to finish Love Light. Twisted by Anna Huang. Okay, I'm going to admit it, guys. I read this kind of as a hate read. I did give it a chance. I gave it a chance, even though I thought, I don't really think this is going to be a series for me, but I'll still give it a go, you know? Like, I don't want to knock it till I tried it. And I read it, and, I thought it was so bad, but I also thought it was so entertaining. I thought it was so fun. Like, I don't think I found it entertaining the way the author necessarily wanted me to find it entertaining, but I was entertained, because this book, Twisted Love, was, like, it was insane, and I found it hilarious how absolutely, like, crazy, like, everything happening in it was like just so unrealistic, and I was kind of here for it in like a this is so bad it's good kind of way. So it's why it's still on the list, because I think, like, maybe I do want to read the rest of the series at some point, because, like, I did have a lot of fun when I was reading the first book, even if I didn't think it was good, you know? Throne of Glass, I'm making my way through this. I'm about to do the tandem read of Empire Storms and Tower of Dawn. I've been reading Throne of Glass book by book for a reading vlog series. I'm making my way through them. I'm going to be finishing Throne of Glass in 2026 for sure. Pretty Little Liars, me and my BFF started reading this as like a buddy read in 2025, and we read the first 4 books, and then we just stopped. I need to get back on that because there's a lot of books in that series. Eek. The Castle Knoll Files. I don't know why I have this marked as up to date. I'm not up to date. Lies from the beginning of the video. I actually am currently reading 22 series because I'm not up to date in Castle Knoll Files. There is now a 3rd book releasing this year, so I'm now behind by 2. This is another one. It's like I read it, I liked it, I didn't love it, but I liked it enough where I was like, I'll give the next book a try, because I feel like, you know, writers' writing tends to just get better. So, like, if I liked this book, I might really like the next book that they write. There was nothing that I necessarily, like, hated or disliked in the first book. I didn't feel wowed by it, mainly. I do also have Heartstopper marked as up to date because I have no idea when volume 6 is releasing, but I do know it's coming out, but I can't read it yet, so it's like I'm up to date because there's no more books for me to read. Fae and Alchemy, this is the Quicksilver series. I'm actually doing a reread of Quicksilver right now. I'm gonna get back to reading this later today once I finish this video, but I do also own Brimstone. Is why I'm doing the reread of Quicksilver, is because I want to read Brimstone. So I need to get through this book to read Brimstone, then I'll be up to date. I have no idea if this series is going to have more books after this, or if it's just going to be a duology. Don't ask me. I don't know. Okay? Molly the Maid is a series that I decided to start in 2025. I wanted to give the first book a chance, and I felt like the whole first half of the book was not a good representation of neurodivergence. Molly the Maid, our main character, is like portrayed as being neurodivergent, and I just felt like the entire first half of the book, it was making Molly the butt of the joke because she didn't understand social cues, and you're reading from her perspective. So the book was almost like written in this way where I felt that the author was like, well, you, the reader, know this, and it's funny because we know Molly didn't get it. And it made me feel icky. By the second half of the book, I felt like it was better. Molly had a lot more, like, support with other characters in the book, that it didn't just feel constantly like we're just laughing at Molly. But it really threw me off on, like, the whole series, and I'm still not sure if I want to read more of the Molly the Maid series. It's possible maybe now that this like better support, and I felt like less haha Molly doesn't get it, is happening in the second half of the first book, that's what the second book and the ongoing books after that will be like, instead of how I felt about the first half of the book in terms of writing. And like maybe somebody else would read it and not feel that way, but I just like couldn't help but feeling icky by the way Molly's neurodivergence was being portrayed in the beginning of this book. It really made me go, I don't like things, you know? So I'm still like, I'm undecided. Maybe in 2026, I'll give the second book a try, see how I feel about it, and then I can at least make a decision if I want to keep it on the series tracker or not. The Empyrean, this is Fourth Wing, baby. I did read Fourth Wing, the first book, with my YouTube bestie Melina. We did a buddy read of it in 2025, and then I just like never read the rest. It was like surprisingly good for me. I was really expecting it to be mediocre, just because my personal opinion is when any media, like I'm talking like music, books, shows, movies, I think like any media that becomes so insanely popular, gains so much mass popularity, I think it kind of has to be mediocre, because if it was too much of anything, then it wouldn't be so massively popular, right? Like it wouldn't appeal to the masses in the same way. And that doesn't mean that it's bad. I just was like not expecting to think it was like really good. And I was pleasantly surprised by Fourth Wing. Though I also have heard that like the world building kind of gets a little going on, so I don't know. And this is also like a series that like there's supposed to be another like 3 books in this or something. I don't even know. Is there like 6 or 7 books planned in total? There's like 3 released. I've read 1. Like, pray for me, guys. I then have the Trials of Apollo. This is the current, like, Percy Jackson universe series that I'm working on. I did read the first 2 books. I really liked the first book. The second book, I was just like, ooh, I was struggling to finish that. I was struggling to finish the second book. I think I just was not in the mood for it, and I learned my lesson. Like, if I'm not in the mood to read a Rick Riordan middle grade, early young adult book, I just shouldn't be reading it. It's not a book that I can enjoy even if I'm not fully in the mood. I need to be fully in the mood to read that, to enjoy it. So I'm like gonna be taking my time to read that series because I need to wait to feel like the pull towards it in order to read it. And then the last series on this list that I started is The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. Guys, I know I like said this like months ago at this point. I started a reread of The Hunger Games, of reading the initial trilogy for the first time in like a decade, and I've read the first book, and I like still haven't read any of the other books. It's gonna take me like 17 months to make this vlog, but I do want to get to Catching Fire. Again, I was just really struggling with like YA books at the end of 2025 and the beginning of 2026. So I'm kind of just taking a step back, and I'll get to it. I'll get to it when I get to it, you know? So yeah, that's how my series are going. That's how many series I'm currently reading, and the ones I am reading, my plans on what I'm gonna read. As you can see, my color for 2026 is this kind of like goldeny mustard color I picked, and I'm hoping to make a lot of these blocks this yellow color in the coming months. So stay tuned for that, folks. So there we have it. gonna leave that there. I feel like I've been yapping for way too long, but I hope you like this video. If you like it, make sure to give it a like, give it a little thumbs up. If you happen to like me, consider subscribing. I'd be happy to have you. Do let me know, how do you like to keep track of your reading and your series? Do you keep track of them at all? Do you have a spreadsheet? Do you just kind of go with the flow and read whatever the hell you want? And with that, I hope you're having a wonderful day today, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye!